Morning all. It's just coming up to 10 o'clock, Friday 21st of October. A little trip out this morning off to the cinema to see Black Adam, the latest DC Extended Universe film. Can't say I have massively high hopes for it. It's not like great reviews, but yeah, that's something I'm interested in seeing. Stars Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson, of course. We'll probably stop for a little bit of brekkie on the way. So I'll see you soon. Hello, right, I'm heading back to the car. Had my very tasty Sainsbury's breakfast, which you just saw me demolishing. Don't normally do a full English during the week, tend to save that for the weekend. Usually have toast or cereal or something in the mornings, but it's a grey October day and I thought I'd treat myself on my way to the cinema. So cutting it a bit short, it's 10 to 11. The screening's at 11, but of course it's 20 minutes or so with the ads. And I've got petrol to get on the way, but the cinema's only a 10-minute drive away, so should be in good time for an encounter with Black Adam.
2 hours later.
Right, it is 2 hours later, almost literally. Yeah, I'm back in the car after seeing Black Adam at my local Showcase cinema. If incidentally you see it in the Showcase cinema, you can pick up a little free Black Adam comic. In fact, they gave me 3 free Black Adam comics. Which is quite a nice little thing. Previously with Marvel, I think with the last Thor and Spider-Man films, they gave away comic books which were just collections of covers, but these are actually full 48-page comics, which are quite nice. I wasn't expecting that, and I certainly wasn't expecting to get 3 of them. Yeah, so there you are, free Black Adam comic if you go to see the film in the Showcase. Before I do a full review when I get home, quick first impressions. Whoa, I'm not entirely sure actually. If your idea of comic books is people hurtling through the air, fighting each other, throwing things around, throwing firebolts, mass devastation, Black Adam is this. It is probably the purest comic book film I've ever seen, in that it translates the comic book visual look to the screen. In terms of everything else, however, I need to think a little bit more about it. So I'll get home and I'll record a bit more later on. Black Adam. See you in a bit.
The next day.
Right, hello, welcome back. It's now the next day. I've gathered my thoughts, such as they are, about Black Adam. And yeah, it's a weird one. Black Adam is the latest film from the DC Extended Universe, if you like. And of course, we know that that's had a slightly torrid time on the big screen. There have been occasional good films. The original Wonder Woman, Aquaman was good fun, Shazam was quite good, Man of Steel wasn't too bad. But the clunkers have been clunkers. We've had, thank you, we've had Batman v Superman, we had the Justice League, Wonder Woman 1984. There's not been that run of consistency that we've had from Marvel since they started churning out their films in 2008. And it was hoped, I think, the Black Adam would be one on the credit side for DC. And yeah, it's weird. It falls somewhere in the middle, I would say. It's not as bad as Zack Snyder's films. It's not as portentous and clunky and full of itself. It is very full of itself. But it's not in that end. It's also, however, not up in the top end. It does fall in the middle, in that it's a serviceable, completely disposable, very silly, bad film. I agree with those critics who have said that it's actually a bad film, but the odd thing about it is it's sort of enjoyable. There's things about it that you'll want to watch. Now, as I said in my immediate out of the cinema bit in the car, it is very pure comic book. The visuals are things that you associate with comic books. People fighting in the sky, people lifting massive things up and throwing them around, giant people crushing things, aircraft, extraordinary aircraft, extravagant costumes. All that stuff is a very comic book. That's to its credit, that it does go for a very comic book ethos. Where it fails, however, I have to say, is the script and a lot of the acting. It is a very thin story. The story basically is that our friend Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson plays Teth Adam, who has been imprisoned in the ruins of, not in the ruins rather, he's been imprisoned underground since he came to save the village of Karnak, or the country of Karnak, thousands of years ago. Sorry, I'm just meandering a little bit there. I'm just trying to get the plot right in my head. He's been imprisoned underground for years. It's all connected to Shazam as well, which is quite odd. If you've not seen Shazam, I think it would help to watch it before you see this film. And in the modern day, Karnak now is a super sophisticated technological country. Think Black Panther's Wakanda, but without the subtlety. But it's under threat now by a new bunch of invaders. Just a fairly routine gang of thugs called Intergang. By various means, Teth Adam is resurrected, but he ain't no good guy. He's not on the side of the good guys. He's destructive. He's a murderer. And I quite like that depiction of your lead character not exactly being morally ambiguous, but being a downright baddie. He has no compunction about killing. He drops people from great heights. He throws people. He smashes up things. He disintegrates. There are a few quite graphic scenes of people being disintegrated and blown apart and things. Those sort of frames very quickly. And it's quite odd for a superhero film, which is going to, by its definition, by its nature, attract the attention of a young audience. But it doesn't sort of hold back its punches in terms of how brutal Black Adam is. And his story, his narrative throughout the film is, although his family and his civilization are long gone, that he can still have a place in the world through those he associates with in the modern world, which includes an archaeologist played by Sarah Shah and her rather irritating young son. And I think there's a sort of an attempt to establish that Shazam, Billy Batson Shazam sort of thing. Doesn't work because the son is very irritating and not a great actor, it has to be said. Because Black Adam's going on this sort of destructive rampage and he's trying to wipe out Intergang, Amanda Waller, who we know from the Suicide Squad films, she calls upon the Justice Society of America, not the Justice League, this is a completely different group of superheroes, to sort him out. But he proves a bit much even for the Justice Society. Now, the Justice Society, in case you don't know them, and there's no reason you should, because they've not been introduced or referenced ever previously before in the DCEU. Dr. Fate, played with a wry twinkle by Pierce Brosnan, who's clearly having a good time. You've got Hawkman, played by Aldous Hodge, Atom Smasher, played by Noah Centineo, and the spectacularly named Quintessa Swindell, who plays Cyclone. They're a sort of mixture of the X-Men, the Avengers, and the Justice League. They are pitched into battle. They can't handle Black Adam, and all they can do is try and contain him. But in trying to contain him, they realise that there's still a threat to deal with. And it all explodes in this frankly orgy of CGI and action and clamour and clatter, which you will enjoy, but you won't come out of it thinking, my God, that's redefined superhero cinema. It's really, just changed the face of superhero. It really hasn't. It's sort of, it's brash, it's noisy. Visually, I mean, it's not a Zack Snyder film, but it has a lot of Zack Snyder in it. The colour palette is slightly grainy and sepia tinged. It's not eye-poppingly colourful in the way, say, a Marvel film is. It's got that attempt to be gritty and grainy and earthy, but it doesn't really need it. Also, a lot of the action scenes are that hideous Zack Snyder slow motion, people hurtling through the air, and then and I detest that anyway. If you're watching an action film scene, you want the action, you want the adrenaline of the action. You don't want to see people flying through the air and then slowing down before the action starts, and there's a lot of that in this film, which is really annoying. However, there's a lot wrong with it. There's stupid things happen towards the end. The plot basically is gossamer thin. The plot just isn't really of any importance, and it's nothing we haven't seen before. Once again, there's a MacGuffin, a crown, which imbues great power upon the person who wears it, and the bad guy, one of the leaders of the Intergang, wants to get it. The villain is totally forgettable. I can't remember his name, can't remember who played him. He's just some random thug who gets extraordinary powers and has this battle with Black Adam. It's a mess of a film. It is a mess of a film. By any reasonable standards, it's a mess of a superhero film. I know it's a passion project for Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson, who spent years trying to get this thing made. All credit to him for that. And it's quite clear that he really cares about this character in this film. If you've seen any of the promotional stuff he's done this week, he's turned up on various shows talking about it. This matters to him. This is a character he cares about. And I just hope that it's the beginning of something better. I think there's interesting stuff in the character. As I say, I like that ambiguity of a character who is dangerous. And he slightly clunkily becomes somebody slightly different towards the end. But there's still that sort of sense that this man is dangerous. This man isn't somebody you can trust when the chips are down. He's somebody you need to be wary of. So all in all, I did enjoy it. Yeah, I enjoyed it. I didn't have a bad time watching it, but I was conscious watching it that it wasn't very good on certain levels. Technically, I don't think it's very well directed. There's a lot of sort of, as I say, mainly that slow motion stuff, which drives me up the wall. It's not a great script. It's a very visual film, though. I mean, it really does show you how extraordinary it is, the stuff that they can do these days. Quite routinely, people flying, things being demolished and destroyed. There's so much of that in this film. You have to admire that artistry, even if you don't admire the film in any other way, which you probably won't. So it's enjoyable, but it's not great. But it is rewatchable. It's a film I could sit and watch again when it comes out on physical media. Very much a brain-off film. So I suppose a disappointment for anybody who thought this was going to be, a marker in the sand for the DCEU about where they're going to go in the future, because it's very much of the ilk of things they've done before. Not a lot else to say, really, because it's not a deep film by any stretch of the imagination. But I don't really like the expression guilty pleasure, because if you like something, you like it. But I suppose it is a bit of a guilty pleasure. It's just a film that you can watch and think, well, this is nonsense, but wow, it looks great. So Black Adam gets from me, I'm going to give it fairly generous, actually. I'm going to give it a very guarded 7 out of 10, which suggests that it's a better than average film. And certain things about it are good, but there's so much that you think, oh, this creaks, and this is just, we've seen a lot of this stuff before. And the aesthetic, that Zack Snyder aesthetic, which I thought the DCEU had done with, but clearly not. So that's Black Adam, which is in your cinemas now. If you've seen Black Adam, why not get involved and leave a comment down below? Let me know what you thought of it. Did you think it was great? Did you think it was crap? Let me know. Also, while you're here, you can subscribe. You can press the subscribe button. You can also share this. You can share it and tell people about this channel. And, like I said, leave a comment. It'd be nice to hear from you. Right, that's me done. Next video will be Doctor Who, The Power of the Doctor, which screens tomorrow night. I'll get a video up either tomorrow night or Monday morning. Right, thank you for watching. I will see you soon. Until I do, see you. Keep checking the stuff.